Hey, my name is Joe. Welcome to the channel. Today we are having a podcast with Andrew from the Coffee Collective, and this is podcast number 6 of the Coffee Creator Podcasts. So before we get into the discussion, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It helps a ton. Thanks. All right, so Andrew, I've been playing around in the cafe a lot. We've been having some fun. You showed me the roasting and everything, but I kind of want to figure out like how you got to this point. You've been, I think you have another cafe. What was the other name of that cafe?
Pioneer Coffee House.
Pioneer Coffee House. Okay, cool. So how did you get started? Like, what made you get into the coffee world in general? Like, kind of give me your origin story.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So me and my family lived in Redding, California for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And for some reason, like, everything that happens in California happens in the Midwest like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the...
Yeah.
And so so we lived out there, really got into the coffee scene there. Like, it was a whole new dimension. Like, I could actually taste it, taste the notes, experience it.
Yeah.
There's a whole experience around coffee versus just like, hey, let's throw the Joe in the machine.
Yeah.
And so...
Hit the Keurig.
Hit the button, man.
Yeah.
Right? So when I got back here, I was like, dude, there is nothing like that here.
So when you say back here, were you raised here or were you raised there? Okay.
Yeah, so families from Ohio.
Okay.
Super Midwest, like Amish country, part of Amish country, kind of raising. And so, so we moved to Redding. We did a business there.
Okay.
Not coffee. That was my first business, and I was stoked, but that's when I met a lot of the coffee contacts of today.
Cool.
And that was very interesting because when I started getting into coffee, especially like very seriously thinking about doing a shop, I asked the only guy I knew in coffee, and here he had like gotten to be a big name in coffee.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know. I was like, hey Sam, would you help me out?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll help you. And I didn't even know who I was asking,
That's
in
so
the coffee
funny.
world, which is really funny.
And that's Sam he's the one that...
Theory Coffee Roasters, in Redding, California. So
very cool.
Gold Award winner in Espresso category at the Golden Bean North America.
Yeah.
Won the Twitter roast off. So
that's
actually Twitter's headquarters, their source. So he roasts for Twitter's headquarters. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah. Awesome.
And you just randomly
awesome.
knew him, or like how did that?
So my little business, his little business was starting.
Yeah.
And so we briefly met one time in like a BNI connector group. Just shook hands, like, hey, and I saw him like a couple, around there, but like, totally love this dude. Like, just super solid.
Connected. Yeah.
Like he could be a real, like, he's very nerdy, but he could also be a snob.
Yeah.
And he just chooses not to be.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome.
That's the kind of people that you like generally in the industry. Like when you get snobby, you're kind of like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed my espresso by 0.5 grams.
Like,
yeah. Get out of here.
Like, what's
it's okay.
the point? Like,
like calm down. Does it taste good? Like,
and like that's something I really, really push in the cafes. It's the difference between perfection and excellence.
Yeah.
Perfection is very fear-driven, very like, oh my gosh, we missed it, and excellence is just like giving 120%.
Yeah.
And so like give your whole heart, and we have like so much grace and time to train, but like you start like knowing it all, like we ain't got no time for you.
Yeah, I totally feel you there. And people get, it depends on where you're at, but there's that in basically every industry. But no one likes those people.
It's like your misery is pouring out of yourself right now. Just go take care of that.
Yeah, so, calm down.
Calm down.
Drink the
life
coffee
a little,
and enjoy yourself. You know?
What's the point? Customer experience, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
So it's like, dude, if you know so much, but you're not willing to share it and be generous. Generosity is so much more than money. Giving back to the community. Yeah. It's like education and investing in people.
For sure.
Their coffee knowledge. So that's kind of how we roll here.
That's sweet. So you started out here. You came back. What made you decide to come back here? Was there? Because you went to California. That's a beautiful state. Like
it is.
The Midwest isn't necessarily the most beautiful place.
The most beautiful place. Yeah.
There's beauty in the eyes of the beholder, but it's totally what it's interesting. I guess.
Yeah. So every place kind of has a like you said, there's a little dimension of beauty.
Yeah,
in
for
everything.
sure.
And so I think the biggest thing was family. Like raising kids. You're like, hey, you know, once they start school, we don't want to be moving around anymore. Kind of want to like get home base down.
Okay.
And we're like, we don't really see that without family.
Yeah.
And so that was the big turn.
Yeah.
Turn there. So sold my business there, moved back, and actually, while I was like roasting coffee beans on a pan, in the oven,
we've all had that. Yeah. Anybody that's a nerd for coffee has all done that before.
It's all done that. Stunk up the house.
That's the start.
So bad.
That's the start.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was actually logging with my dad. So like literally like chainsaw cutting trees.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a really crazy, like getting killed almost multiple times, like cutting my leg, like.
Oh Jesus.
I'm just like, no, like really crazy. So that was like, dude, I don't see, just like with my lack of attention to some things, like me living very long in this trade. So, like we need to move on.
It's like I gotta get out of here. I don't want to die.
Yeah, I don't want to die. My kids probably don't want me to die.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of fair things right there.
So so over time I was like, man, like I gotta do this coffee thing. Gotta do it.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started.
That's awesome. So you came back here. You started that first one up in, is that still
Delton.
in this? Okay, cool. And you didn't roast there.
No.
What made you decide, to come into roasting? Was part of it cost? Was part of it you just wanted to, better serve the customer? Or was it you wanted to kind of make your own thing, basically?
Yeah.
So what drove you to decide to get into roasting?
So the biggest factor was the development and the creativity that we could optimize on.
Yeah.
So I love thinking outside the box. I love like not going with normal. Like I don't like normal. Like I like it as a base, like to start really good. Have a normal, but then I like to think like, how do we make this like 100 times better?
Yeah,
for
sure.
And like, how do we create
the whole point of
this
business,
whole thing,
right?
Yeah. So it's like creating that value for the people that experience Pioneer.
Yeah.
And a lot of
it's
these
in
things,
the name.
It's
Pioneer. It's like Pioneer. You want to be creative. You want to go. You want to do different things, right?
Yes.
That's kind of the idea.
Yes.
The spirit of a pioneer is to go explore.
Yes.
And you're exploring coffee, right?
Yes. And that's the thing is like a pioneer like gets it done, right? So like it's coming up with the fact and coming to terms with the fact like you might not do it the best in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But you did it first.
Yeah.
And so that's really like we've even seen like a lot of copying in shops around us and things like that where it's like this was novel, like we never thought about putting this and this together. And then like all of a sudden, because our market share is a little bit smaller, all of a sudden our customers think that this other shop came up with it. And we're like, no, look at the date. This was us. Yeah. This originated here. So it's fun.
That's a good sign actually that other businesses started copying you, because that means you like clearly they were threatened or like they saw something that's really cool and innovative or like very interesting to have.
The value is there.
Yeah, so we gotta put this in.
It's fun. So it's like you don't spend a lot of energy with that. You just keep innovating, right?
Yeah.
So
if anything, just take it as a compliment. I mean, that's everything, right? And even like iPhone versus Android. Like you start with the iPhone, and then Android sort of copied, and then iPhone started copying Android. I mean, it's all is part of it. Yeah, it's part of business, part of competition. That's the way it is.
And that's why I love capitalism. Actually, I absolutely love it because nobody has a gun to your head saying you have to do. You have to buy this. Yeah. And so it's this competition actually in creating value. Yeah. It's like it actually makes you better. Yeah. Like if you're lazy, you're not gonna make it.
Especially in the cafe world, man. I mean, that's the thing with the cafes is they are very, very competitive. There's so many of them. There's everyone has their own take on it. I mean, so the competition's fierce, but it's also it's fun and definitely invigorating, I'm sure.
Yes, and really you can't be everybody's everything. I think that was my biggest mistake starting. Yeah, it was like I wanted to please everybody. Yeah, and so like I remember
you can't be the best and also be the cheapest.
Yes, you just can't. It's impossible.
Unless
it takes a certain resource. Yeah. Level to do quality. Yeah, and intentionality. Intentionality costs a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
And so. Like I remember like starting with a very simple menu, like 6 months I go up to my menu and it's like 4 columns because I tried to be everything everybody told me I should be. Yeah. And so it's part of this like identity process. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, like actually who are we? Yeah. And you're like, I couldn't train this in 6 months. and be consistent.
Yeah,
so it's going
that's
back to the
something
basics,
too I never really thought about, is like maybe you can make all these different beverages, but then having to train someone to make all those beverages, you have to be able to, like, you know, you have to find some balance of like having all these items and then also being able to be very good and excellent at those beverages and items and stuff like that.
Yes. Is it replicatable? Like, can I do this again? Could this be systematic?
Yeah.
Could this excellence be reproduced? It's the artist versus the scientist.
Yeah.
You know, again,
like
it's
you were saying earlier on Instagram,
Yeah. So it's like, you know, like the artist asks, what could this be? What could this like become? And the scientist is like, can we make this excellence happen over and over and over again? Precisely, there's a formula.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, that's part of sustainability, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so do you plan on, you know, is your goal like, hey, if this is successful, we want to try to replicate this and come around? You can come around. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Is that like, do you want to eventually maybe franchise or create like maybe 5 or 10, you know, cafes?
100%.
Yeah.
So, but I think the thing that's really interesting is like I really want to throw the franchise idea on its head, like how, you know, there's this concept like, oh, you know, there's so much power in a brand that is the same everywhere.
Yeah.
And for us, I want each location to be its own collection of experiences.
Oh, okay.
Like our Delonghi location has a complete different vibe.
Yeah.
Completely different. High end, same as the coffee, but just a very like cozy, warmer feeling, a little bit more rustic. Like we handed the panels of the tables. Like it is like
I like the grid. Like I know we were talking earlier, but like the cafe, you really designed it beautifully. I mean, and it sounds like you did all this work, a lot of it yourself.
A lot of it, yeah.
So I mean, that's so cool. I mean, the pictures I saw, maybe if I could get some off you, we'll throw them in here. But like, it was like basically nothing.
No,
like,
it was a shell.
Like
It was a shell.
Yeah.
It was a curves. So it was purple carpet all the way, and so we had to rip that out. We had to get the asbestos tile out of here, which was a pain.
Hazmat suit.
I almost died on the so I was
You're
cutting
almost
concrete.
dying a lot. It seems.
I should like rethink these things a little bit more. You know? It's like I don't process. I'm like, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
This is where we're at. Let's go. And sometimes I should just like, okay.
You just want to do it.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it, man.
Let's go.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want to do it now.
Yeah. So. Cutting concrete, gas motor in here. And I was like, I got this, like it's 230 feet of cutting because we had to go front bar all the way back to the back corner to hook up to this plumbing, and then the bathrooms and things had to be. Anyways, so I was like, oh, I can almost make this. And like, I barely made it out of this building.
Yeah.
Like, because of I was like hanging on one of those concrete pillar things. I was just completely dizzy. I got so sick, just stupid, you know. So you learn. And There's like next time. But yeah, back to the concept. Like this is a 1920s train station vibe.
Okay. I was gonna say, looking through it, you have the black, you have the gold. And it's very elegant looking. Mm-hmm. It has an elegant vibe to it, but you still have some of like the interesting like rustic pieces, almost like the train actually going over, because you have the concrete and stuff like that. It's very cool. I like it.
So that was this one. The other one was more like minimalist but cozy. Yeah. Because I feel like minimalist can get really cold.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's it's minimalist, but it's very cozy. A lot of plants, a lot of greenery, leather. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's cool, and it's cool that you can have different concepts but still be that same brand, sort of like that pioneer, right? Mm-hmm. So that's cool. And then obviously you have those mod bars. I'm interested, like, what made you decide, because those are pretty interesting, not a lot of cafes have them. What made you decide to go that way? Was it a customer experience? Was it, the barista experience, or was it kind of a melting pot of those two? Or?
Yeah, so it was both, definitely. The biggest thing was the experience of the customer.
Yeah.
It's like every time I do a build out, and what's crazy is like this build out, the initial before budget came in, had like a waterfall. It had like this whole thing was going to open with like light coming in, hitting the water.
Okay.
There's going to be a massive waterfall right in the middle here, going into tanks with plants, fish, Like it was gonna.
That sounds pretty bold.
It was gonna
man.
be ridiculous, right?
And then you were like, money is a thing.
Yeah, money is the thing, right? So, and that's the whole thing, like creativity, and then like
the constraints.
return, business. Like this is a business. This isn't just a playground. Like we need this money back and more. You know.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah.
But yeah, so like when I started design, I always start with like 3 things I'm not gonna do without.
Okay.
Right, so it's like 3 things. What's it gonna be?
And that was one of them. The mod bars.
The mod bar was one of them, and it was just like, you know, there's no. I wanted any resistance of connection between the barista and the customer to be zero, like completely. Like shouldn't be looking around anything, because part of being a really high end and the quality that we use, the biggest thing is education.
Yeah.
Like once you understand the intentionality that goes into our coffee, like the value is there.
Yeah.
You know, it's
100%.
like everyone's like takes 2 cups of coffee. They're not asking if they're getting like the Fiat or the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
They're asking what's the price.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, you have to ask what the value is.
Yeah.
You know, and so education's a big part of like letting the realized value come through.
Yeah.
And part of that education process is the barista and customer interaction. And so I didn't ever want them to think about how do I have a conversation, like this should be flawless, this should just happen organically. And so that was the biggest thing. So that was one thing, the piano was the other thing, and then the fireplace.
Yeah.
So those are like the 3 things.
The piano is, I mean, the whole thing is really gorgeous. I love it.
That's the 1930s Steinway.
Oh, really?
So I love
is it from 1930?
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so it's a really
that's pretty sweet.
It's a nice Steinway. So.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing.
So, and I love the intricacy of, you know, that I love that brand. Mm-hmm. And even this brand was created with a barista.
Yeah.
And so like that is part of our culture. Like everyone here does more than just be a barista.
Yeah.
Like we have marketing, we have admin, we have like so it's like we're a barista, but we're also doing all this other stuff.
These other things. That's really cool. I like that idea of like, because not only is that, you know, they're the barista, but they're also like maybe learning something new or using skills that they have to like add value to the to you and to the business and to themselves in a lot of ways. So that's really cool. Yeah,
and also like it creates value for them because on their resume they've already got like, you know, developing a whole company, like the layout, like
that's
like
what I'm saying. Like there's a lot of value to themselves.
Yeah, so when they leave here, it's like, dude, they've got this whole portfolio of things that
you don't even have to list barista if you don't want to.
If you don't want to.
If you wanted to be like, oh, you know,
Developer.
I was the marketing. That was the marketing head of, you know, the Pioneer Coffee Collective. Like that goes a long way, especially depending on their career choices they decide. So that's, I think, a really interesting concept. Actually, I think that will probably be something that other competitors end up copying once they start learning.
The secret sauce. You know?
Yeah, that's gonna be some of the secret sauce.
And,
that
you know,
people...
it does make you a little vulnerable. It does, but it's just part of it. Like you cannot. It's like
business is. Yeah, I think business is being vulnerable. Unfortunately, I mean, you know,
it hurts sometimes.
Yeah, business hurts. It's
Yeah.
being vulnerable. You're putting your own ideas out there in a way, especially a customer-facing thing where like they interact with basically the thing that you've brought out. This is your child in a way, and they get to experience it, and you hope that people love it. And for me, I love it. I love the concept and everything. And I honestly I think it's just a matter of time. The longer this is open and you keep doing what you're doing, the bigger the customer base is going to get. I mean, it's beautiful. You can't really go wrong.
Thank you.
So
yeah, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So as a home barista, when you came in here, what was if you summarize like what you really, I know you love the mod bar.
I love it. Yeah, I'm all about espressos and everything. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I wasn't expecting such a beautiful vibe like in here. Like I knew the mod bars would be there and there'd be like sort of a minimalist aspect to it, but it was less of that than I thought. And it actually, you really brought everything together in a way that I really wasn't expecting. So that was really, really cool.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's cool to see different cafes and things like that, and the way that they do it. And this is one of the most different cafes I've been to. I mean, I've never actually seen a mod bar in person, and seeing it and on like having the bar set up the way it is, It's sweet.
Awesome.
If only
Awesome, yeah.
if one day they could bring that to the home, it would be amazing.
Right.
I mean, it's just especially for somebody that has like, if you have a modern style home, like that would be so cool.
Right.
But I mean, I'm sure that that's not anything that's possible anytime soon.
Like
those are
the
expensive.
Basement bars are now mod bar bars.
Yeah, maybe
awesome.
they
There you go.
could build a whole bar out of it or something. But yeah, it's cool. But anyways, before we close up, is there anything that you want to say? Have any like questions for me, or for you want to tell my listeners?
Yeah, I mean, like, let me think about that. No, I mean, like, really just, you can check us out. Pioneer Coffee House is in Dalton, but pioneercollectivecoffee.com is like, we sell our stuff now.
Yeah, do you sell your coffee online?
We'll ship, yeah.
Cool.
So that's fun. To you, what got you started? Like,
for me,
what was your journey there?
Yeah, so I've kind of gone through like sort of a weird, like path, I guess. I was real young. I've always liked coffee. My whole family's Italian, so espresso is like deep. It's part of like the blood, I guess. So it's like garlic, olive oil, sauce, and espresso. Yeah. So I mean, growing up, my nonna always had like a little mocha pot and stuff like that. And then as I grew up, I got into espresso. I actually started with a super automatic espresso machine, which is like a bean to cup. You hit a button, and you go.
Wow.
For me in college, I thought that was what I wanted. But then as I kind of grew into espresso, I found that like there's a value to making it yourself, to actually tamping and all that stuff. And I've just kind of gone through that process, really loving it. So yeah, that's kind of how that's how I've experienced it and everything. But so as far as the blends here that you have, the espresso is what are you having here? You have Colombian.
Yeah. So this the Gold River is our espresso. We really focus on complexity.
Yeah.
Right. So we want the whole palette to not, because you can have complexity in the sense of 3 different notes that are very nice, but they just don't go together.
Yeah.
Right. And so we really try to think about complexity in a sense of congruency.
Yeah.
And a full-bodied flavor, and just a pleasant.
Yeah.
Mouthfeel. So I'm trying to say 3 things. But yeah, so in our Gold River, we have a Colombian as a base, very chocolatey, nutty. Then we have an Ethiopian, to give it some of that
fruity, sort of funky.
Yeah. And then we have the Brazilian, which is a really interesting, chocolatey, almost tobacco-y in some ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very interesting combo there. But yeah, so chocolate, almond, kind of nutty, fruity.
Very classic
flavor.
Espresso with a little twist. Yeah. I like it.
Black Velvet is our house roast. It is bombing. Like, it is so good. It's dark. It's the darkest one we do.
Okay.
But you have the Colombian, Ethiopian, Guatemalan, and Sumatra.
Cool.
Sumatra's always like weird.
Yeah, that one's very funky.
Yeah.
That's a very odd. Some people even say Sumatrans can sometimes taste like mushroomy or like earthy.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Very rainforest flory kind of concept. But yeah, so more or less that is. But we actually had that cupped against some really, really good coffee, and it won.
Oh, nice. So, that's awesome. Like in a competition?
When a Q grader was here.
Oh, nice.
So,
oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
Q graders are like that's the standard basically. Very cool. So how much do these cost, and how can people buy them online?
Yeah, so again, it's pioneercollectivecoffee.com, and they cost $16 per bag.
Cool.
So, and then shipping. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So it's just starting out. We'd love to know what you guys think. We want to get into more. This is kind of the base. This is where we're starting.
You opened what, 2 months ago, 3 months?
3 months ago.
Very cool.
And like a lot of the recipes we use are Gold Award recipes. So we did make a deal with another coffee roaster that has won quite a few competitions, and so we're actually using those profiles
nice.
and those recipes, and then also the sources as well.
Very cool.
So that's our start. Again, just getting that base,
and
innovative. But like, I don't know. Have you heard of the low oxygen fermentation process they're doing now? Like
I've heard of some of that. I haven't gotten into the weeds about it, but that's like the way they're processing the coffee, like before you roast it and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like, what they're doing is like, instead of your regular wash where it's fermenting in the water tank for 24 hours, during the process they seal it, and they have a valve on it, so it lets the oxygen out but not in.
Oh, okay.
And it's
almost like brewing like a beer or something.
Oh, it's incredible. Like when you open the bag, it just like boom, it hits you like so bad. And crazy. The taste is just incredible.
Yeah. So what does that bring out more? Do you get like, what flavors do you bring out more in that type of style versus?
Yeah. So the one I had was Ethiopian, and so the fruitiness was just like
through the roof.
It was incredible. Like so those are the ones that we want to like jump into and experiment with. They're very expensive right now.
Yeah.
Just because
I've heard it's very new. It's a new process.
New, but very, very, like I think it's here to stay.
Yeah.
Just because of the difference of flavor and just how much more of an experience. And so these are the things that we're trying to develop. Just takes time to get the profiling and all of that. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, so eventually we get there. Right now we're just starting with this. We're gonna have a single O Tanzanian coming.
Oh wow,
which
very
is
cool.
Really fun.
That's higher altitude, yeah.
It's gonna be high altitude, grade 1.
Sweet.
Really, really nice.
That's gonna be awesome.
So, and
you're gonna try that with pour over. You're gonna try to blend it with some espresso. Or what are you thinking?
We're thinking pour over, AeroPress. We really like to experiment though.
Yeah.
With those, that is probably my most favorite thing to do is take one coffee and then optimize what process brings out the coffee, and that is like kind of like doing it justice. Because it's like you do this and you're like, oh, it's good, and you do this and it's like great, like it is phenomenal, like people talk about it. And so like pairing them, where for me, like I've noticed like your pour over, especially with the Kalita Wave, like you get a lot of your bass notes. It accentuates some of your lower tones notes. So I love the pour over for like Colombian, so your chocolatey, nutty. If you really want to accentuate that, it creates a little smooth, really smooth flavors. So really good on a dark one for that chocolatey, nutty. And then like your AeroPress, the way we do it at least, it really brings the fruitiness out. So if I really want to accentuate that fruitiness, you lose a little bit of the lower tones, but like really accentuates the fruitiness. And so that's what I love to do, is like mix and match.
Just kind of try different things.
And
that's
see
sweet.
which one is like optimized completely.
So then once you've decided what it was optimized with, then like, okay, so say you take that Tanzania and you try with all these different things, and then you're like, okay, it's a really good in AeroPress. Is that what you're going to focus that for? Is that what you're going to, or you're going to try to get it to do every single thing? Yeah,
so the way it goes usually is like, because we start the customer experience with what they love. Right, so we're always asking like, okay, what are you used to? If they're like sweet, we're not gonna like say, hey, you want an Americano, right? Or we're like, hey, are you used to traditional coffee or more of a sweeter, And if they're like, more of a traditional coffee, we're like, hey, do you like chocolatey, nutty notes, or do you like more of fruity notes? And so we start with what the customer loves already. And then
give them what they want.
Give them what they want. Got to do it. So if they love, that fruitiness, that's when we're like, okay,
cool.
All right. So
now we have all these,
AeroPress, or if they like the chocolatey nutty, hey, you would love our black velvet. You love this black velvet, right? On a pour over. And so it's kind of, that's how we kind of work it. But we know which one is optimized. So we know that what they love is going to be optimized on our side. So then it's customer meeting us.
And that's kind of the cool thing, is like once you've given a customer, at least what I found is like once you've given a customer what they want and they actually really enjoy it, then they trust you to be like, oh, maybe you should like
try this.
If you want to,
thing.
if you want to experiment a little bit, maybe try this latte, or try this, this espresso with, Americano style or something like that, and you can start to really, educate, like you were saying, the different, methods and different, coffees and everything and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's one of the coolest.
Yeah,
things.
and it starts a really cool conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how was that? Like, I love that correspondence.
Yeah. And whether they like it or don't like it, at least like that's the best thing is like, if they don't like it, then you can be like, oh, what don't you like about it? Yeah,
right.
what can we do to optimize the best coffee experience for you?
Right, and that's where you're like, remember, it's kind of like in the first business where I used to doubt myself when I asked like, why didn't you like it? And they're like, I could actually taste the coffee. I'm like, oh. It's okay. We're okay. We're just not a good match. That's okay. So it's just like, I actually tasted the coffee. I was like, sorry, like
bummer. I need to add more sugar, and this may not be the best relationship.
I think you might not be our customer. You really might not. And being okay with that. Like, hey, like we are about value, right? So if this is not where you find value, then
there's other
places that you will love. Like they're down the street. They're, another thing is price. Like we really focus on sustainability. So like again,
prices might be a little bit higher.
Prices, everything, it's gotta. Yeah, it just takes more.
Yeah.
Like if you want to have a relationship with a farmer in 10 years, you got to think about that. Like it's not going to be gobbling it all up at the cheapest price, where some of the farmers are losing their butts. And then, anyway, so it's just a different mindset. It's a true cup, farmer's a cup kind of concept.
For sure.
Doing the best you can.
And that's the way I think the industry is really going, and that's kind of the way I hope most cafes are going.
Yeah.
So whether it's even you hope one day even a place like Starbucks can start to do something like that, just because it does make a difference at the end of the day for everybody involved.
It does.
Obviously, we don't want, even if we don't love Starbucks, not everybody loves Starbucks, but, we want the people that they interact with, those farmers, everybody involved to, have a good experience.
Right.
And not, like, be, poor and, live a terrible life. So.
And, on a note of that, it's like, some of these really great concepts have become marketing scams.
Yeah.
Like, single origin, like the single origin of Africa. Like, are you kidding me?
Whole
like,
continent.
What is it? Instead of like, that was intended for, I know the farm and I know the farmer, and the farmer's name is on the bag.
Yeah.
Because that's single origin.
That's the way things are, I think, trending, and I think it's so cool that is. Like, where you can literally say, this is the farm, this is the lot on that farm.
Right.
I mean, it's like, it's getting really, really good, I think.
Because now you have micro lots.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, it's so cool.
Where the farmers, tried this new thing. Same thing with fair trade, like, for me...
It started as a good idea.
It did, an incredible idea. But, like, if you have farmer A who really cares and is given his all, and then you have farmer B who doesn't give a crap, but they're both supposed to have
same
pay, you've just unincentivized excellence.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love capitalism, because like you can choose not to come to us.
Yeah.
I'm not forcing you. You have a choice.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but still thinking about what's sustainable for everyone.
Yeah.
Because that is capitalism.
Plus.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that's the way. Yeah, and I think throughout this, the last like 10 or 20 years in general, like. That's the way I think companies are starting to think more, is like, we can't just screw everybody else just for ourselves. So hopefully that's the wave of the future. But
and like with the business too, like on a note of that, it's like, before customer reviews and all these things, it's like, we're the best. Like that's all you would hear is we're the best, and the customer's stupid, and like you should just come to us and that's it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're stupid, right?
Yeah.
And then there's this custom review thing, really the Amazon world.
Yeah.
That started this, like, actually the customer is educated. You can't say you're the best, because the best to one person is cheap and the best to the other person is quality.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and there's these two worlds collide,
There are. And so like all you have is like, here's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you choose if it's your best.
Sure.
But this is how we're different. So
Well, hey, Andrew, it's been super fun discussing with you.
So much
I
fun.
love being at the cafe. I couldn't ask for a better experience. Being able to go behind your bar and actually pull a
was
couple
fun.
of shots was super fun. It was great talking to you. If you have a chance, check them out on Instagram, Pioneer Collective Coffee. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Joey Baracali. And we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.
hey, appreciate it, Joe.
Yep,
Thank you.
bye.